to block off more.
Well, I didn't know they were having like special guests.
Okay.
And I stay in good trouble.
Y'all got to get her one of these shirts. I don't know if y'all know.
All right.
Juneteenth. Juneteenth. I thought a lot this morning about Juneteenth. You know, there's always cause to do something, but there's that intersection of when you do it that really matters. Ms. Harper inspired and challenged our staff to do something here. Why does it matter that we're preserving history?
History is very important. I love history. Some people don't care about history. They think what's in the past should just stay in the past and you start with the new. But you cannot survive without history. You got to know where you came from. It may not matter to you, but it may matter to someone else. We need our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren to know the history, where they came from, what is in the future for them, and know that this is where we started, but this is where we are now. So we have to keep history going, regardless of who doesn't like it. You just put your foot down and say, this is our history.
This is our history. Thank you. A lesson you learned in school that you still use today.
Always respect your elders. Period.
Absolutely.
That's it.
And anyone else with a story of why when you were punished at school, and why do you remember that happening?
The teacher was just showing her shoes, and I accidentally dismissed Pink, and I touched the bow, and the bow came off.
You pulled that lady bow on.
I didn't pull it off. She was showing it, and I just touched it. I was in the 5th grade, and it was Miss Pink, and she was my first Caucasian teacher, so she made me stay after school. She didn't hit me. She didn't hit me. She just made me stay after school.
Yes, I too was punished, but I got a whack from the principal, and he's a big white man. I remember that.
Wow. I went to middle schools where paddling was allowed, and the interesting part, I struggled with forgiveness because the whacker was my deacon at church. I used to tell my mom he is not godly at that school. And he was on a vacation Bible school, but at the middle school, boy, he was tearing us up. But it meant something to be corrected. I never thought about grabbing a paddle. I never thought about whining or complaining. I knew what abuse was. He wasn't doing that.
Right. We were given free lunches. And some of us, that was the only meal that we got. But the other kids couldn't tease us because they didn't know that we were getting those free lunches. So free lunches go way, way back. But somebody at the school, some teacher or somebody in the community would pay so that they knew we were hungry. So they would pay so that at least we could eat and be alert and learn.
Right. Under that building right there. No dietitian, just a cook. And it's 80 Anderson Beck. She was the person that cooked right there. She didn't use no books to get seasoning the food and all this. She did it from memory. She get the salt, pour it in there, and when you ate, it wasn't overseas. She did an excellent job. She fed a lot of us for free.
Do you think integration really did us a solid?
Integration was the worst thing that ever happened. We lost sight of our culture, of our African culture. We were brought here, our ancestors were brought here as slaves. We did not volunteer to come here. We were brought here as slaves. And we had to assimilate into a white culture. Native Americans will never forget the Trail of Tears. You know, those Asians, Korean and Japanese will never forget Nakasawa and Hiroshima. But we want to forget that we were brought over here shackled. Thousands and thousands of us died on that passage. And we don't teach our kids that. My mother always told us, you bend, but you do not break. And unless you've been through some trials and tribulations and learned that every tub has to sit on its own bottom, you know, you were not going to make it, because you had to be strong back in those days to make it. Like my brother said, we had to walk to school, rain, shine, sleet, or snow. We had to walk. There were only 2 school buses. Mr. George Mapp drove one and Mr. Carey Norris drove the other one. And if you lived at least a mile from the school, you couldn't ride the bus. You had to walk.
A mile was walking distance.
A mile was walking distance. I don't care how hard it rained. I don't care how cold the ground was. You could see the ice crystals coming up out of the ground. You walked to school. And once you got here, if you had to go to the restroom, you had to go to an outdoor toilet that were not well maintained at all. We didn't have toilet tissue, thank God for Sears magazine.
Please join me in welcoming Zion, Z-I-O-N, Matthews with 2 T's. Goes to school in DeKalb. He's 9 years old. You're reading your story. Let's go.
Cats and dogs now go to the same school, but a long time ago it wasn't like this. Cats and dogs couldn't go to the same school. Dogs wanted to go to the same school. The cats said they're too destructive. So the cats and dogs had played together secretly, but then the teachers saw it and said they get along. Then after, cats and dogs can go to the same school. The teacher realized it's not about the difference. It's about what you make out of that difference.
Thank you.
Mr. Woods? Thank you, sir. Miss Glenn Hunter? Thank you. All right.
Can we sing an old song first?
Yes. Marcia, we're singing.
Everybody
Don't
knows
leave
this
yet.
one. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Uh-oh.
All right.
All in my neighborhood.